And we're live.
We are live, and then we also going to put it in the cloud. So yes, we're live again. Yay! Welcome everybody.
Hello.
And today we have 3 people. Yay!
Yes, we are here.
Welcome everybody. Today we have another episode of the Real Talks, and we're gonna be talking about relationships. So I'm really happy that the person I have a relationship with is here as well.
Yeah, thanks.
And we're going to be talking about all different topics. And the one is like, because I feel it's like really important for people. Because on the one hand, we're not deep, like we don't like we're just doing this and we're just figuring this out. But I feel there's so much like misconceptions and beliefs and things about like men and women that we're like a lot of things that we are like we're almost like by society or something like really like indoctrinated to not trust the other like the male and female, and a lot of there's so much trauma going on in relationships. And I also think like you can transform that and you can see what's happening and people learn from it, and it's like such an amazing way to learn and to grow if you are like in a beautiful healthy relationship. And I want to let people know like yeah, like how that is, how is that that's sacred union or like, and like conscious relationship. And that is a lot of times it's not always easy, and I want to let people also know that. And also like there's a lot of people that have like so much hurt from past relationship that a lot of times don't even want to try a new relationship. But I just want to let people know everybody is a total different person, and every time you learn and you grow, you manifest, like if you attract a different person, you heal, you grow, and you manifest like you attract a different being that is more congruent in the person that you are at that moment. So that's always, I feel it's always a reflection of you. And yeah, and you, it's a beautiful way of learning and growing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nice.
So whenever you feel like saying also some things, yeah, and also want to say like a lot of people think that they have to be a certain way, or we have to heal, we have to be whole to attract someone, we have to fully love ourselves to attract someone. But I just like, you are worthy of love regardless like who you are. Of course you can grow and you better yourself, you become even a better version of yourself, like a more real or authentic version. And understanding yourself and knowing yourself, but you deserve love anyway. Like there's like, I always thought like, I felt like sometimes like not worthy of love or not like, and I thought like I needed to be a certain way. But if you wanna wait until you're fully whole, then I think you're waiting a long time. So I want to let people know that as well.
I'll say something quick.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of people might think they're unworthy because they know they need to do some deep healing within themselves. No one fully heals. Like you said, you can't just wait for it because it'll probably never happen. If it does, who knows if it'll be right or not. But what you have to do is you kind of have to just do your best to work on yourself. And just don't go searching for the relationship. Just be open for it. And it'll come to you, depending on what love. It doesn't matter what love you at, it'll just come to you. And it'll work out. It might not work out, it might work out. But just be open for it. Don't always think you're not worthy of it.
Yeah, it reminds me of a Dutch guy saying like, never go shopping when you're hungry because you come home with the weirdest stuff. So don't go looking for it. It will happen when you're ready for it. Yeah.
That's good.
And also something that Janneke said is like, don't try to be someone that you're not. Something I figured out a long time ago, because before you're like 20, you think that you have to make an image and to impress somebody. I've pretty quick figured out like, well, you can hide a part of yourself, but it will come out eventually. And if that's not the part that the other one fell in love with, I will immediately create a problem to begin with. So in that sense, I think the biggest question is finding yourself, knowing who you are, and then just showing that part of yourself. So I think it's all connected also to love, and to what we say is self-love. You can only meet somebody in the way that you are. So if you don't even know how to love yourself, how can you even love somebody else? Yeah, in that sense.
I think the majority of people love themselves.
No, go.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought you wanted to say something.
Oh no.
but it's like on one hand, yes, on the other hand, like with the self-love, it's but there's a like paradox in that. Like on one hand, you can't love someone because if you don't love yourself yet, but on the other hand, it is possible to love someone and to grow in love. So like when you're like conscious, you can really grow in love and grow and like we really have like something that we support each other. We are like we're fully ourselves. Like I think in the past I couldn't be fully myself. Like there were parts of me that they didn't like or rejected or something. Like, oh, I like this, but not this. Like that's the spiritual part or the part that likes like certain strange topics. And it's like that there were always different parts. Like this is not fully accepted or something. And now like feel I'm just fully myself now, and that is like. And that's why I also feel like a lot of people feel like they have me time. They need me time to feel themselves, to be themselves. But if you are fully yourself, you don't need that much like
No, you shouldn't.
isolating yourself to feel yourself again. Or that's for some.
I think actually you're denying part of yourself, right? To want to be loved by somebody else. It's kind of a weird paradox there. Yeah. I think that's maybe what makes it so hard, because I think your partner actually mirrors that back to you, that shadow part. You could call it that, because it doesn't actually have to mean that it needs to be an evil side of you, but it's something that people usually think with shadow work. But it can also be something that you're maybe a little bit ashamed of, or some goofy thing that you normally do when you're alone. And I think hiding these things especially for a loved one, is just denying yourself. It's heading for disaster in the long run, I guess. Yeah, always. So yeah, I kind of agree with what you said. It's like if you can meet each other on the same level, and not needing you to be a better version of myself, but I know who I am with all my good parts and my defects, and the other one does that too. Then you can mirror it, and then you can help each other grow to a higher level. But if I, for instance, need my girlfriend because I'm insecure, and I let her do all the social stuff, that just as an example, then you're already starting your relationship like in a crooked way. It's not on the same level. It's not equal, I would say. Yeah,
if you search for things that you don't have, and then you search for happiness outside
she becomes my crutch. I'm starting to lean on that.
And then it doesn't, like you think like that. Oh, and when it's not like when you're like angry at the person, it's like, oh, I'm not happy anymore with them, or but then it's like, but you need to be like having that happiness within yourself, and then the other person is like a bonus.
Yeah, that, and when you touch on something else too, like a lot of people don't even know what this love really is. They think they love somebody, but they actually don't love the person. They love the image that they have of somebody. And when that person grows and gets different aspects, or maybe a deeper sense of themselves, and they change, then people start to become angry or sad, and they want a divorce. And basically, it's because they never even love the person. They love the image that they had made in their mind about the person. And reality changes, and instead of changing our idea about reality, they try to change reality. Try to force somebody to be the person. Hey, you used to be so nice, and why are you not nice anymore? But that's not how it works. So I think it's the other way around, actually, that the person who has this problem forgot to grow with the changing partner. It's a thing I see happening all over the place usually.
I think a lot of that is because when it comes to relationships, that model that everybody puts out, that everybody has to follow the same way and have a relationship the same way. And it is not one person or two people, anybody is the same. So we're all sitting here trying to do the same relationship the same way as everybody else. And that's never going to work. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's just a simple, basic, one of the simple reasons why things always break apart and do not work. Because we're sitting here trying to do everybody else,
Yeah, you try to be something that you're not, you mean. And it's like what Janneke also said, it's more like a conditioning. I have to do it in this way because it's not acceptable for society or for the community, or it's also denying yourself. I'm coming back to that again. Like, I cannot be myself, so I need to make a picture of myself, making an image of myself and present that to the world. It's what you see a lot of people do these days. Not being themselves, but trying to behave in a way that they think another expects them to behave. And I think it's actually horrible to do that in your own relationship. That's the place and the person where you should be 100% yourself, 100% of the time.
I think this is very true. I've done this a lot in my past. And I think because like you do know that you're not being yourself, but at the same time you think that maybe if I am myself, this relationship I just got into is not going to last or break apart. And when you're coming into relationships like this, you want to be in them for some reason. You don't want them in right away, which is why you got into it in the first place. It can be for various reasons. So you kind of do hide that self. And the thing I realized of not hiding it is like when you find a true person, you're going to be authentically yourself automatically. It's just going to come out.
Yeah.
And you'll know when you find the right person, because when you become yourself, it's just automatic. It just comes out. You don't hide anything. You don't even want to hide anything. And you
the
just
fear is gone. The fear of being rejected is also gone. You know yourself. You accept yourself. That's where that self-love comes in again, right? Like, I don't need to be afraid anymore to be rejected, because I know myself. I accept myself. So love me for who I am, instead of what I think you need to see. It's actually funny the more that you realize this. How ridiculous it actually is. But we have entertainment and television and all these ways of telling people how to behave and how to have a beautiful relationship. And that's all based on image. It's not based on reality. Yeah.
And then people are a lot of times what you said also was like in the beginning of a relationship, they're different because they put all the love in there. But if you are like just like you are always, then you don't have that in a relationship. From the beginning, when you know yourself, you don't have that. But there still can be things coming up like projections and triggers, and we still have that. We had like several last week.
Even from past relationships, like I found myself bringing up things that like
beginning also,
I would act a certain way towards her, like if I felt she's behaving a certain way that reminded me of something I dealt with in a past relationship. And I'm like, you're behaving just like the person I dealt with a long time ago. I'm not liking it, but she's not behaving that way. It just felt like she was because it was a trauma that I had dealt with. So it stayed with me for a while. So like now I'm projecting it onto her, and then she has the same thing. She has some trauma that she projected on me.
Yeah.
But we work through it because when you're with the right one, usually things like this will break you apart, and like I think it separates you. But when you find the right one, you'll battle through these things, but then they're like just obstacles you get through. And then there's more challenges we get through. We become stronger and stronger as we so we're knocking out our traumas and just like left and right. Like with a regular person that you're dating, you're not gonna knock out these traumas. They're just gonna go boom. It's gonna stop us. And it does stop you. You find another one. You jump and jump. You find one, you're just knocking the traumas out. You're knocking out the challenges and things are picking you apart, and you're forming that nice union. And it's unbreakable.
And I think that's also because that people have a skewed vision of that, because you always have these fairy tale stories that everything is going to be, you find the right person and from that on they live happily ever after. But you see these couples living together for 40 years, being married for 40 years, and they still have these fights and these these things that come up, because you also grow as a person. If I never change and I'm the same person, and when I was 20, I don't even grow, then maybe in a fairy tale story we will be always the same. But you grow, you get new interests, you meet new people, you change as a person, and of course you're gonna run into new things and maybe a little bit friction or something there. But if you both can meet each other on the same level, then it's just like you said. Maybe you find some old hurt that's been festering there in the background, and it's actually a kind of a gift. Like, hey, you're giving me something that I didn't even remember was there. And the thing is, I probably also that when you realize that it's good that you see it now, because if it's in the background and you don't know, it jumps up when you least expect it, and then it becomes something that maybe destroys a relationship or becomes hurtful. But once I recognize it and I know it's there, then it can be controlled, and we can look at it and nurture it and heal. It needs to be seen, and it needs to be, and that's the way that we heal it. So yeah, I see a lot of these problems are probably created by the way society tells us how to live this relationship, like Cinderella or yeah, name any of these Disney characters.
Yeah, but it's also like we have an idea about that, but it's like in reality, it's like it's really interesting, but because you all have like a total different, we all come from a total different like place. We even come from a different place, and we even have a different like language. So we have quite with communication. Sometimes we have just like
English is a different type of, we have this communication. She speaks English and I do, but it's not like, because our words when we speak sometimes it's like they mean different things how we say them. But when you speak English, you just use words and it's like, I'm like, what do you mean by that? You know what I mean? And like sometimes we get a little friction.
That's very relatable. Like, I come out of a relationship where the other one was also from a different country, so we both we had to communicate in English, but for neither of us it's our native language. So you get actually this double translation, and you really have to listen to what are you actually trying to say instead of the words that people are saying. It's a totally different kind of listening. Yeah, you listen with your heart instead of with your mind.
And that's why it's also really good. Like sometimes people hear it from their trauma instead of like, and also it's good instead of making assumptions or thinking that you know what the person said. Like always ask, like, what is your intention when you said that? But once you know each other and you know their heart, or like he has a good intention for me, he loves me, and he wants me to be more free, so he doesn't say anything to hurt me. Even though sometimes I feel like hurt next to them.
Sometimes I might be very blunt. And
but not intentionally. Yeah.
Like I'll point something out. I'm like, I always say this. I'll just go ahead and say, I'm like, she'll be doing something like, you're just like your mom. You're just like your mom. I'm like, you're so quiet for a moment, and like, and she'll tell me like, oh, she was hurt later. But I'm like, oh, don't feel nothing about it, because I didn't mean anything bad about it. Just I'm like, don't even worry about it. But again, there's some traumas that in a relationship that like some of us might have that we're holding on to. So when we get hurt, it's because it hit that trauma, and then like fully, and then like it comes back up.
True.
So always thinking we're being hurt by people, but we're not being, like, sometimes you might be being hurt by people, but when you have a relationship like we do, where we're not hurting each other, but we feel like we are. She'll say something, I feel like she's like, insulting my intelligence or something, or or she's like, I'll be asking for like a type of food, and she's like, well, you have this. I feel like she's like trying to deny me something, and it has nothing to do with that. Just like we just speaking directly with logic. Actually, we use a lot of logic in the relationship. And sometimes we might get emotional about it and like come back at each other the wrong way.
Yeah.
She might. Then we'll talk about it later on and we'll work it out.
And that's the theme of these things is a lot of times is not being heard. Have you noticed that we have the feeling or the idea that we're not being heard, and that's what brings up the emotion. Like, hey, somebody's not seeing me, and especially if somebody's very close to you, like a family member or a partner, that's when it actually hurts the most, because you expect the other person to see you as you are, and hey, now you're not listening to me. So that's a theme that I see reoccurring a lot. It's always like that, and that points to trauma, of course. Usually in a very young age, where you as a child, probably one of your parents didn't see you, and the child always thinks it's their fault because that the parent doesn't see them. And those are these also for the viewers. Those are also what we mean, these old hurts that are lingering somewhere in your being. Those are the things that are actually being triggered. And there's all this emotion that's usually not even connected to this moment. You make like a rude comment or being a little bit sarcastic, and somebody explodes on you, and it's like, oh yeah, well, I understand that you're being hurt by this, but this emotion, that's an emotion that I've been hurting you for years, and we only know each other for 3 weeks or 3 months. So that's always a good indication that is actually something being triggered. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is also the programs that you have and the patterns that you have. Like sometimes you have to break out of that. Like last week he said something and it was like my brain was like almost like a meltdown, like, he thought I was reacting strange, but it was because my brain was like, So it's like you break out of your own programs that you have that you didn't even know that you had. So
blue screen.
it's like, well, my the brain freeze. Like, he started to talk about like what is the dessert? Well, he didn't even have the main course, and I was like, so did you just eat first? Like just the small things, like really, like really, like small, but we also like sometimes it gets like really like high in the moment, but a lot of times we see it from the other and then we don't react. Like if he is triggered and I react, then it gets like boom, 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 boom. So
yeah, it feeds on each other. That's also some peculiar thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then the listening doesn't happen. Like you won't listen, I won't listen. And so like you want to say something and you'll just shut it out. I won't listen to you, and then I'll say something and shut it out. And you're not hearing what I'm saying. So I'm like, okay, we gotta just take a walk. I'm like, I'll take a walk, I'll sit over there, I'll do something.
Oh, that's so relatable. Because talking has no use anymore because nobody is listening. You get more and more emotional because I'm not being heard. No, I'm not being heard. But it's good that you notice and that you can step out of the situation to cool down. Yeah.
Yeah, and then later you come together, and that's interesting. And
I can laugh about it. Yeah.
And lastly, you laugh about it. It's like it's just a little thing and can blow up like so big. And I really think like some people really have it like it's like little things, and then it's too much. Like, and then they suddenly want to split just because like this little thing happened, but it's because it's like a build up. And that's why it's also good to be like conscious of it in the moment when something happened. Like always like make sure that you talk about it. Make sure that you don't go to bed while you're still triggered or something, because you wait in the morning and then like it's like I this is like really. And then also when you said like about not being heard and seen, I don't feel that with him like at all. I don't fully express myself and I feel heard, but I had that in previous relationships that I felt not heard or I just want to give, and then they felt like I just wanted attention. So it's really like with us, it's really like we both had that we give love in a lot of relationships, but we were not met with the same love.
What's it meant to be? It's just, I think it's practice. It's practice until you get to the point where we are to you find that one.
Also,
these are traumas, but I think it's very necessary that we go through this. This is what helps grow and develop our character. And we become who we are, whether we're going to be good, we're going to be bad, or we're neutral, or we're going to be ready for the next person, the real one that comes up. So these are necessary, but they are traumas and they're problematic. Problematic because we carry this stuff and we have to work it out. We really have to like recognize when it's the trauma and it's not the next person, because we find ourselves blaming the next person for anything and everything. And I catch myself doing this, and I tell her when I'm on the track of like being triggered at, like, oh, it's not you, and I'll bring up a trauma that I do recognize and explain it to her where it came from, even sometimes in a relationship or something I dealt with as a child, or just anything such.
Yeah, because we've both been to a lot of things, just in general in life and in relationships. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But it's a blessing that you both can recognize it. My last relationship, I was usually not to make it in a bragging thing, but it's hard when you're the only one, or maybe usually the first one to recognize what's going on. Like, hey, here we go again. You're becoming emotional, not listening. Let's step out of the situation. But the other person is like, you're not listening to me. You're shushing me. No, we can come back to it, but we need to cool down. We're too emotional to even listen to each other. It's very hard when you're the only one seeing that. It's very nice, and it's a blessing, and seeing like you two, that you're both aware of it, and you, even when you're triggered, that you can come back to it and have the safety and the trust to come back to it, and not taking it personal, and actually see like, hey, this is some old trauma that's being triggered, or this is some old story that's running. And I would always, there was something else that I remembered. It's usually in unattention where these things happen. If we're fully aware and very attentive to our partner, there's nothing going on because I see what you're doing and I'm putting my full attention there. But it's usually when let's talk from my own perspective. When I'm doing something else, I'm cutting the vegetables, for instance, somebody's asking me and I give an alpha-est answer. That's where the trigger is coming on. So it's in unattention where these things actually happen. That's very peculiar when you recognize that.
But that's the unconscious patterns that you both
exactly.
sides. I think that is the generational karma or generational trauma from
Also,
like something from your parents or something. Then you like not even aware of it, but you're like I say something that it exactly triggers him, but it also that there's something in him that needed to be triggered to have this. So it's really interesting.
It's all programming. That's what's running when you're not aware, when you're not conscious in the now. Yeah, very clearly. It's cool. Cool to see. It is always cool to also meet people who actually recognize this too. Thank you. That's very cool.
Yeah, because last week I felt like I was not conscious in the moment when it happened. So it's really interesting how it works.
Well, you also get to like, I don't know, some people are into astrology, some aren't, but I do know when the moon cycle comes around, from the spirit or whatever. And let me put this out there too. It's not just the females. Like there's some kind of frequency that gets put out there, and it will make you both go at each other. It's just that I think females carry more from like they display more of their emotions, and so we blame them for like, oh, the moon cycle coming, but it's both of us. But times like when that happens is when our miscommunications. I notice it because I observe constantly, and it happens a certain time every month, and it's actually before. But anyways, it just happens so much to where like I'm used to it, and like I'll point it out, or like at the moment she's heated about something and she's like triggered. Pointing it out doesn't mean anything. It's like one of what we just spoke about. Like we'll speak, but nobody's here. I'll point it out, but then I'll because I know what it is. I'm not going to get into argument. I get back at her at first. I'm like, wait. I know what's going on here. And so I'll just back up. I'm like, no, it's a cycle, right? She's like, what do you mean? She won't say it's a cycle. She'll just keep going off. Back to you in a moment. And then she's like, oh yeah, you're right. And then she'll look it up on her phone. She's like, oh, this is what's going on. You know, she'll look up the energy. So no, okay, the cycle is here. And, you know, and it's just, and then we see it's challenges. Sometimes, like what I'm saying is these things are external. And a lot of things can be external. It could be something financial. It could be something somebody said to her, like rudely out. It could be anything. And these get brought inward. And then rather than dealing internally together, we take that we dealt with externally, we bring it in and we fight about this. And most people, like, this ends most people's relationships. What we learn to do is transmute these things and say where they're coming from and actually work them out and don't let guys, because we form this awesome union that we have and nothing's going to break it apart. And so we just keep that going. It's pretty nice, but it's important to recognize where these things are coming from. Like, is it you? Is it the next person? Or is it something that happened outside of us? Or is it frequency taking place right now? Because we're all in constant attack with some negative energy. And we're constantly trying to be healthy. We're constantly trying to fix ourselves in our relationships once we make something like this. Well, that's what we're doing.
Like, who uses clashes? We had all the eclipse with a full moon.
Yes.
So, it definitely has an influence. I've noticed that too. Also on me, but I always feel like I'm extra hyped up, always around the full moon. It's very recognizable what he said.
Yeah, and the biggest one was like eclipse and full moon. And I saw after that, I saw a lot of people relationships ending, you know, like, but these clashes but it's also good to have that understanding, like, hey, maybe there's something going on. And I also watched them on Facebook and then the energy reports, and it was like, oh, this is going on.
Yeah, true. Or a solar flare that also seems to have an influence.
Yeah, but I don't want to put responsibility outside of myself. Also not. So like, oh, let's make it. It's what is it? Mercury retrograde communication.
No, but that's also not what he was saying. It's like, well, you see the cause, but we still have to communicate between each other and build on our relationship, and that's how the relationship gets stronger. But I would also like to point out that currently we live in a society where we have this kind of cancel culture, where when it gets difficult, we just break up. And we run the other way because it becomes too difficult, too emotional. And then a friend of mine said, well, they get in a divorce because they don't butter the sandwiches in the right way, for it, like for these small things. But if you always run away, that's where you get good at, running away. So you get good at breaking up a relationship and finding new ones, but you never get to deepen, to work at it and to actually strengthen your bond and to deepen the relationship, because you never work for it. So yeah, I think that's the way that he just pointed out. There can be things and it can be external things, but we work together to figure it out and to see where the healing is at and what repairs we can make together.
But that's why you both need to be open to that. Like a lot of people grow, and then the other person is stay at the same place. So you both need to be open for that growing, for that learning, and for like that understanding and doing that together. And not and that and a lot of people like they were the same when they got into a relationship, and then they like they grow one person, and then it doesn't like come together. So I also understand it. Like it's about like seeing, is this person gonna change with me, or can I accept that person for who they are in this moment? What if they never change their whole life? Can I still love this person fully and accept them and be compassionate as they are? Or do you need to do something else? Like, and that is really interesting how that works. But you don't want to go away, just go away to leave it. Do you like? I think everybody like, but there's also a lot of people that are like afraid and just stay in a relationship that's not satisfying them. So it's for everybody to feel that.
Yeah, they're more afraid of the loneliness than the pain that the relationship gives them.
Yeah. There's a lot of people like are really fearful, and it's like because like you have that fairy tale, you have to be like all your whole life together.
No, it's hard work, even if you're together for 40, 50 years. But what you said, it kind of touched the hurt of the last one, where when if somebody externalizes all problems between yourselves, and it's always the other one, and they forget to take responsibility for their own growth, then it can sometimes turn into some very sad thing.
Yeah, and also help them project their own hurt on the other, and you think it's them only, and then it's like no, and people sometimes have like a blind spot for that, like we talked about before, we a lot of times we see narcissists and empaths, but I don't feel
that's what I was touching on, that the trauma bonding. Maybe we should touch on that too.
Yeah, and like, but I think more like everybody has certain aspects of that in them.
Yes.
There's a lot of trauma bonding.
And then they see that in someone else. We had that in our community very much, that the person like, yeah, this person is narcissistic, and we're like, no, the person saying it actually is. But then they're like projecting that on that person, like, and I'm like, it was so clear.
That's typical. They usually project their own disorder on somebody else. That's typical for narcissists. But it's always also a label that I wouldn't really hang on people easily, because like you said, we all have kind of behaviors that touch on what we would call narcissistic behavior. But the worst part is actually the lack of self-reflection. That it's always you that is the problem, and they never take responsibility for their own the energy that they have to put into the relationship too. It has to come from both sides, as we also already pointed out. But if you get into some trauma bonding where you always like want to be the good guy, and you always rationalize all that behavior towards, well, okay, it will become something good in the future, or I will fix this. How arrogant can you be? But I think, yeah, same here. But the moment I realized I'm fixing this whole, I'm hanging this whole relationship to some fixed point into the future, which doesn't exist, then maybe she's gonna change in 2 months or in 2 years or whatever. No, we live here, and either it's good now, or I accept how she is right now, or there is no relationship. I cannot extend this or go through this hoping that it will change in the future. That's an illusion. So I think that's something that for watchers, viewers, something that you should point out, like, hey, it should be here now, or somebody should put in the effort right here, right now, but no promise in the future, because the future doesn't exist. It's always now.
It's always in the now.
It's always in the now. If it
Always
doesn't feel
have
right now, then it will never be right.
And don't try to change, like, it's like it has to come from the person within, that they have that self-reflection and they want to change.
Yeah.
And because if it's not there, that's self-reflection, or like you can wait for a long time, and you can think, like, people think that they can change them. No, it's not. You can only change yourself. So that's why I always did relationships. I always change myself. Like, oh, like, this is not happening there. So
No.
like, this is also really happening in a year.
You can only go so far. You can give somebody some knowledge and maybe the steps that you took to grow, but you cannot give somebody awareness of something, like the insight. The insight has to come or it doesn't come. But I wish it were true that I can give you the insight that you maybe need. Also arrogance there, of course, but you cannot give it to somebody. If it doesn't come, yeah, sorry, then yeah, that's why it's one of the hardest thing I ever did is letting go of somebody that you still love. Yeah,
and that's difficult when they have blind spots. They don't see that, and it's really difficult to make them see that.
Yeah,
you do see it and don't want to.
Maybe also, yeah.
But what's good is, like, when you see somebody that is trying to change because they might have addiction issues. Like, a lot of times relationships, people don't realize they have dopamine issues, like addiction.
Yeah.
And like, I have an issue with food and like junk food, and it's really tough for to get under control. And like, it almost becomes like I was addicted to sugar, so it almost becomes like I'm cool. It's like when people need their coffee, like, don't talk to me, I need my coffee. I was almost like that with like pizza and all this other junk food. But if your partner sees that you're trying to change and you're working on yourself, if you're working on it, then that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's all about that intent, huh? Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So working on it is definitely good. Like I said, but you see people that either have the blinders on, because some people actually don't see it, that they have an issue, or some people just don't want to change.
Yeah, sometimes they're so traumatized they just don't see it. They like, you need to make it safe for me before I can be myself. You need to do, and they always externalize the reason for their change. They first want to see something out there, and yeah, then I'm back to, that's not love. Love is unconditional. So you cannot say I will love you if you love me first. That's not how that works. No.
Yeah, but if you come together with two people that are loving and are giving, then
that's the intent that you feel. That's what I totally agree with him. Like, yeah, if you see that, well, okay, then we can go together and walk together, and then I can support you. But if you constantly blame me for not giving enough effort while I'm giving everything I got, and I see you do nothing, well, that's not the way it works. And even then, you can, yeah, it's like what they say, they're pulling the dead horse. You can pull it for a while, but yeah, the moment I stop giving it energy, nothing moves. And that's how you know, like, hey, we should be doing this together and not just me.
Yeah, it's also about trust, building trust, and this in the beginning, lots of fears coming by, I think, from past relationship. Like, also people like, I'm like, have an open heart, be open. A lot of people are so hurt they don't even try again. But it's like, it's a waste of it's a waste of your love that you have to give to someone who is maybe very happy with it, and you also happy to give that. And it's like, how much I was even hurt, I was always working on myself so I could be like open to it again, because I know that it's like, I feel that I always felt that I'm meant to be with someone. I'm like the most happiest in a relationship. And that is also something that I read that somewhere, like, you can have that longing, because a lot of people say, I was not looking and then I found someone, but it's like, it was not that I was looking, but I was open to it.
Yeah.
I was just enjoying my life, learning about and really enjoying that. And that is what's most important, that you're like happy and life is good. And then
I think it worked out well.
Yeah.
Because when I met you, you seemed like you're alone, but you seemed like you were really happy. You know, like you were doing good. So like if you're happy with being on your own, then you can handle a relationship. Sometimes there are people, I can never be alone. You might want to stay away from that because those people like I don't know. That's my red flag when somebody just needs to be with somebody because they can't be.
They cannot be with themselves. That's
she was completely happy constantly.
Yeah.
She was fun to be around and hang with, and we hung out a lot. We went communal shopping. We shopped for the community we lived at. We did a lot of fun stuff. We went to some jams and parties together. We had a great time.
Yeah.
And everything. So,
and that is wherever we are, we're having a great time. So that is, and now we're not so long here. Now we're meeting more and more people. So we're like, with the two of us, we already had fun. So if more people,
yeah.
It only adds to the fun. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we had a good time. We turn it into something fun all the time. It could be anything. It could be watching a movie or something, or it could be just going for a walk, and we'll just get in a conversation and I'll start goofing off like a silly or something. And then like it just gets funny, but then it becomes fun and then we just start having a good day, more of a great day, and we start raising that energy frequency would just go right up.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like and then when done meeting other people also, then it's even more fun.
It's even more fun, yeah. We just get conversation with them and it's really great. There's like a lot of great people here too. We're just people. Like we're just people that like to communicate with other great people like us, you know. That's why this thing is working too. It's just fun. We have a great time. You know?
We have a lot of people like online that we know, but I know that at one point we will come more together, and that is what I'm also started with this Dog Squid. Like we need to come together, we need to unite, we need to bring more understanding of each other. Like there's so many great, amazing men and women out there that are. That have good intention, that are loving intention, and it's really beautiful if we like unite more and more with Soul Tribe and to learn together. And it's like really possible, and that's how we're gonna grow. More people will
connect together. Yes, you're not alone. No, all the heartful people with the hearts that live in this cold society. You're not alone. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and but relationships are not easy.
No, I was gonna just mention that you're gonna have your dark times. You're gonna have your times where like you might think this is the end. Like you might say something you think it's the point of no return. How can I take that back? It's gonna end. And then because after you have any quiet time, you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen next. When you get back to the conversation, she might be like, yeah, I'm gonna go home or go this way. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. But then again, you do know what you're gonna do. It's just that you're gonna work it out because you wanted to. It's like you realize you're gonna say things and do things that aren't gonna be always like pleasing and satisfying, or gonna be something that somebody disagrees with, or something that just doesn't work, or something that might offend somebody, or just something you know you shouldn't have said. And these things, sometimes things just come up. Dark times, you just gotta know how to work them out. If you're in that right relationship, you can work it.
True. Yeah. Put some effort in there. Yeah. Put some effort in there. Like, build the foundation also. Work on the trust. And I think maybe we should also say, like, it's not even not only just in partnership relationship, it's also with friends, and you actually enter in a lot of relationships in your life, and they're all very delicate, and you can all I have to say it again, we live in this cancel culture these days where people just cancel you if you make them feel bad. They only get good at canceling people. You never get good at developing character or developing deep friendships, and let alone a real relationship. You're gonna run away the moment it starts to hurt. But it's in the hurt where the growth is to be found. So yeah, it's amazing if I meet people like you two, like you actually realize that. And of course, it's not always the sun's shining, and sometimes you can actually hurt each other, even unintentionally. But it's in the working after that, like, and also be like responsible. Okay, I didn't mean to, but I see that I've hurt you, and take responsibility for that. And yeah, it's a delicate thing. It's always a work in progress. That's also something I realized talking to these really old people who are like 80 years old, 90 years old. How did you deal with it? Oh, we had a fight last week. He never changes. No, it's also about accepting that he will always leave the lid up in the toilet, and she will always not listen to my advice. No, that's also a lot of acceptance there.
Then my parents have been 40 years together, and like every weekly they make her argue about the groceries.
Yeah, like these stupid small things. Yeah.
But I was like,
That will never end. You only get better at it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it'll never end. But I'm like, I don't want to argue about the same thing. So I want to like dissect where does it come from, where it is, where does the root cause, how can we do it differently?
We always figure out what it is and where always break it down. You don't play around with like, okay, let's
make sure this doesn't happen. How can we find a way, like a fixed solution for both of us, so we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's also a crazy thing that men always want to fix things, and a lot of women, they only want to share their story, and and that's where a lot of for relationships is also like a lot of these frictions come from. The woman comes in, oh, something happened to me today, and I want to tell a story, and the man listens to it for 2 seconds, like, hey, you should do it next time, you should so and so and so. You never listen to me. But the funny thing is, then instead of trying to change each other, I saw some video a while ago. It's like where they test this on babies. They put the baby in front of the mother, and they put some obstruction in between them. And the boys will always try to fix something with the obstruction, remove it, climb over it, or whatever. And the girls just start to cry. It's like, mama's not here. So it's actually, we were actually wired like this. That's something, maybe an advice that we should throw out there. Like, don't try to change your man or your woman. Just accept that she just wants to talk about it, and the man will always try to find some solution to the problem. That's a big one, because a lot of relationships actually go about this. Like, oh, he never listens to me. No, he wants to fix it. That's how he is.
I do a lot of things sometimes. I catch myself doing that, but then a lot of times also when I train myself to do, because I notice a lot of us men, we don't do this, is listening. And that's one thing I do the listening pretty well. And then actually
me too. Go on, sorry. I interrupted you.
Fast, like after I talked like 2 sentences. Okay, shall we watch TV now? And like,
she want to cut me off because she's like,
yeah.
Because I'll say something, and then like I like to I'm not gonna say like a programming, but I'll say something a few times because I know like logically, I don't know, mentally I know it'll sink in what I'm saying if I say it a few times. It's like, well, I heard you the first time. I'll say it a different way. I heard you. I already know you get to say, so I don't want to hear it.
It's very typical. It's very funny when you see it. Huh? These archetypes. Yeah.
Well, like, you gotta listen, and like just listen to it. And sometimes she'll get used to it. So she'll what do you call that? She'll like automatically guess that I'm gonna say something the same because she's so used to probably my pattern, and then that I need to get up what I want to say, and then I'll say it. She's like, oh, I thought you were gonna say this because usually you say it 2 or 3 times. I'm like, well, I didn't say it this time. I'm saying something different. Then she'll give me information, and she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. When you react to what somebody is saying, you never listen. Yeah, well, if I wasn't listening, I couldn't react to what you were actually saying. It's funny, these things. Yeah.
It's pretty funny. But we're good at like sometimes we don't, but like a lot of times, like I practice actually listening. And like I'll be doing something.
Me too.
Something, and I'll be on my computer and I'll be trying to do some video editing, and she'll come in and start speaking. And then I'll start talking, like just to carry the conversation, but I'm really into this. And then I'm like, meet the pause button on here. And then I return my focus, and then I'm like, okay. And then we start communicating. And then I'm downloading information. I'm like, okay, all right. And then we'll discuss something. The listening will begin. Then after, I'll get back to what I'm doing before. But I'll always try to break what I'm doing to get the listening on.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you have to take all these moments and cherish each moment, because that one time you might not listen to something. You don't know how much time you have with somebody. So you want to get the information. In friends too, you want to make sure that just listen and see what's going to happen with it. It's more important than me doing the edit on the video.
Yeah. And there you got that attention again. Put your full attention in it. It's like, I think a while ago, before I even realized it, it was something that hit me really hard when I was like in a meeting a long time ago. And we were like, I was talking to this guy, and he was like a singer, and then they just had some advertisements. or a piece that they played, and I started talking to this guy. We were doing a deep conversation, and suddenly his wife comes up, and she had to say something about the kids having to be driven home, and she actually took his face so straight into her face, and his attention was gone from our conversation and totally there with his wife. And she said these few things, and he was like, "Yeah, sorry, dudes, I have to go. Kids, bye." And and I was realizing, like, well, that's actually how it should be. Yeah, that's your partner, and especially when you're into a family and you have kids together. Well, these guys that I've just met, they're not important in my life at all. It's my wife coming here. There is something with the kids. They need to be driven home, and it was amazing. His attention was totally there with his wife. The moment that she came up to him and kind of, yeah, I would also almost say demanded it, but it was more his reaction too. It was so amazing to me. I always remember that, and like what you just said too. Like put your intention behind it. Like, okay, you need me. I drop what I'm doing right now. That's not important. This is important. The focus that we give each other. Yeah.
And this is also your priority. Like,
yes.
You're each other, that you feel good, that we feel good, and that we feel good. Like it's a first priority. Like if he's not feeling good, I drop everything, and I'm like, oh.
Sitting here, like, if you're not feeling, there's no point of, like, I don't feel good. I just don't feel good. Like, it's just, I don't know. We have such a deep connection that, like, my priority is you. You know, it's the same thing. It's like you need to feel good and be happy. You know, like, or like, what's the point of like doing anything else besides what we're doing together? Like, what's the point of me editing the video? What's the point of me taking a walk? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But also like learning from each other. A lot of times in relationships, so I had some like answers, but they were not open to it. And then they heard the same things, answers from someone else, and they were like, oh, I can do it like this. And I'm like, I told you already. A lot of times people not, like, it's like strange, but when it comes from their own partner, they're not always trusting that or think it's true.
I think that's a flag. It's just like he just said. I mean, if you don't give each other that attention, what's the point? You're my other half, and now these bullshit friends that I just met are more important than the one I want to share my life with. That's the point. Yeah. I think that's a deep thing that a lot of people don't realize. They think, oh yeah, but that's hedonism. Me, I'm more important. I think in a relationship, us should be the most important, not me.
And the learning from each other, and that's why when you have two conscious people, you learn from each other and each other's key pieces. So I keep learning from him, like
and be open to that. Yes.
To really be open to that, like what the other person has to say.
A couple times I thought, like, in the past, when we were in Spain, that I would say something important information, and you wouldn't like really believe the information, but then you would get it from somewhere else. And it's not that you didn't trust me. It's that, like, a lot of times, like, I'm silly and I'm goofy, so you don't know if I'm joking around when I'm talking about it. Like, oh, this is calm down. You just hear it somewhere. It's like, oh, okay. You should be like,
need some confirmation first.
Yeah.
Like then a video, like several videos on TikTok saying the same. Oh, maybe it's something right what you say. So that's funny, like what I'm saying, that people had that, but I have that too. Like
that's very relatable.
But it comes also because we are like, we know that we can't trust any information. Like we always want to search for everything, and we always like what is it, like we don't like trust immediately everything. Like we have to research.
Skeptic, double check.
Because like we've been fed so many lies. What is real, what is not real, and what's real to you. So that's also really interesting, like to like I have, so like a lot of things we have the same morals and the same values and same views, but there are also some things that we have like a different perspective, because like we're all different, and we can be that like something that he believes and I'm not behind that. Like I one time
we
have some things, and then also like we don't have to, we can agree to disagree, and it's also good.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be a competition. You can celebrate each other's diversity. It's actually, I think, a common thing. I think also between femininity and masculinity. It's like these days, it's almost like a competition. You need to be the same. No, I always look at the indigenous people. I think it's Russell Means, that's a Native American. We actually see like no, the women are more about caring, nursing, and men are more pragmatic. And it doesn't mean that the man doesn't have feelings. He is a warrior, but once he's talking and realizes the love of his woman, he's almost in tears. And it's the other way around too. So you're actually part of the. Together you form the whole. It's like you're adding to each other, and then there is no competition. You're celebrating each other's diversity. I think, as especially in a deep relationship where you have to recognize that and celebrate it together. It's also the theme that you just touched on. Like we drive each other to a bigger scheme, not by pulling you down because I feel less of a man because you grow too fast or something like that. It's also something that you sometimes see happening around you. There is no competition there. It shouldn't be.
But it's also the standard roles that society like we like have standard roles like. But I think
we push for each other's growth actually, like in development, like we're like pushing each other to get to grow and supporting each other pretty good.
Yeah, but we're not like
supporting.
But like I feel like a lot of times like man wants like a bird that I can care of, and like I'm the man protector. And there's like also society has certain role roles, and that is not like that. Like, oh, you have to be a certain way, or the person has to be like
I think we can call that Western society who has screwed these roles a little bit. That's why I always like to look at indigenous people who are actually basically the same all over the world. Yeah.
There's no role, certain role. Yeah, he will be the protector if necessary.
Oh yeah.
In a way, but there is a difference between protector and a possessor. You're not my possession. And the more, it's like holding a butterfly. Well, the moment I hold a butterfly, I damage its wings. The butterfly needs to be free. And it needs to be protected from the bird maybe, but I can smash the bird. Don't need to hold the butterfly. Maybe that's an analogy some people will recognize. Yeah.
Because then if they don't like take care of the other one when they're not good, and they feel better themselves, and that is something. That's why it's also so important to know yourself and to know like the balance. Also have the balance of the male and the female part inside of yours. And I feel that like I felt like in the beginning when I was younger growing up, I needed to be that strong woman, and later on I developed more like that feminine side of myself.
Yeah, nurturing. That's how I would say is feminine. That's inherent of women, I think, even. And they distorted that into she needs to be a slave of the kitchen. No, it's actually the responsibility of health, the responsibility of the foods, the responsibility of medicine, of the children, of the upbringing. That's not a burden. That's the heaviest responsibility in the whole household. And it doesn't need to be. You don't need to be the man. The man has maybe this strength, which you also cannot say anymore. But we're going out hunting, and we're building the home, and we make sure that you're safe enough to do all these things and take care of the family and the values and stuff like that. And it's not, again, I don't see any competition there. You can build on each other's strengths instead of making me into a nurturing somebody, and you need to be the warrior. Why why can we not go together and seek balance there? That's a totally different podcast, I guess, where we can talk about Western society flooding the whole world with civilization. Well, I think it's a sarcastic term because Western society was never civilized to begin with. And also not these values, men and women, and breaking up. And I think a lot of people don't even realize that breaking up only became apparent since we have anti-conception, and that's also a big subject. That's around since the 50s or the 60s, not even that long. Before that, you have to go into a deep relationship, because you cannot casually fuck around and fling around, and you're stuck for life. And there was a big responsibility there. So you can say, oh, I want to be modern, I want to be free. No, there is also a little bit of responsibility. You can even go deeper and say, like, the sexual thing, the bonding. You can say, oh, I like to fuck around. Well, if you look at it from an energetic perspective, that's also a different podcast. I mean, you don't know what energy somebody has collected in their life, and then you're melding these together, and next day you're melding it with somebody else and with somebody else, and then you're confused why you lose yourself in the process. So yeah, there's a lot of layers that we didn't even touch on, and in this subject, and it's all relationship.
Yeah, but we are like we really choose to like just be with ourselves and have that and grow within ourselves. But you have like in conscious community, you have a lot of people that have different ways, and I respect everybody and their own what they are doing.
Sure. Yeah.
And but it's not for us. Like it's quite clear. Yeah, we're like that's also if you had a lot of relationship, you learn from it also. Okay, I had this wasn't working for me. This like this. So you know more also what you want. Like every time, like it's really like sometimes people can be very sad in a breakup, but you can turn it around with more self-love for yourself.
Yes.
And learning and knowing more what you want and. So also opportunity, and it's like, and also there's like still a fraction. It's always a learning. It's really interesting how it works, and yeah, I also want to say a bit about the love languages. Unconditional love, huh? Look, everybody has a good intention, unconditional love. But a lot of times people don't feel that much love just because they have a different love language. There's people like acts of service, time and attention, words of affirmation, like nice words to each other, touch, and gifts.
Gifts. I'm doubtful about the last one, but
there's people like but it's like I need like time and attention and words of affirmations and touch, and then I had people like just doing things for me, and they felt like they were giving lots of love to me, but I didn't feel it because I had a different love language. And it's also something that people can learn. You can learn to to know the love language of the other person and to grow in that. But he has that already, like the similar love language, and then it's like really easy. But a lot of times people think, oh, he doesn't love me, but he just has a different way of expressing that. Like everybody has a different way of expressing their love.
That's also a different podcast, I think, because I think love, that's my opinion, of course. Love unconditional, that's my starting point. And then I see that most of us in modern society, we're basically all traumatized. We don't have a good bonding with our moms because we get torn out. And look at like therapists like Gabor Mate, who actually teaches you like we're actually wired and supposed to be with our mothers skin on skin for the first few years of our lives. In Western society, you get pulled out, you get put into the crib in the other room, and even when you cry, don't touch him. He needs to learn that. But in indigenous societies, they carry the child on skin. In some tribes, they even say the first 2-3 years, our children don't even touch the ground. And imagine what that means, and for the bonding and for the safety. And then we used to live in tribes where all the aunties, all the uncles, all the children from all ages and up, they're all nice to you. They're all, and even if you had a fucked up mom or a fucked up dad, there were all these other people who give you love constantly. You grow up in a safe environment. So the love language, I think, that's maybe my theory, would be the same for everybody. Because we all get the touch, we all get the warmth, we all get the words of affirmation constantly, all these things. And I think people who are missing this, well, they just got some dents in their upbringing because the parents broke up, or we have an abusive father who is also coming from an abusive, and it's all from other families, their upbringing. We're also a few, especially in Europe, so many generations with torn apart way of life, so far disconnected from our real nature, where we're actually wired for connection, and that's what we're looking for all our lives. We want to be heard, we want to be seen. You see that theme everywhere, and it all stems from these first 5 years where we're actually bonding to supposed to bond to someone, and that person look in modern society. Most of the times you're not even around. You get dumped in some school where some stranger is with you 12 hours of the day. Your own mom is only with you 2 hours of the day, and then she puts you to bed, and you go back to kindergarten the next morning. And then by the time you're a teenager, they worry, hey, I don't even know my son anymore. Yeah, is that a surprise to you even? So I think we should take into account that for these healthy, let's call it healthy, without hurting too many feelings. We also should go. No, I think we should also take into account that our upbringing, especially in Western society, was not healthy to begin with. I think that's why we need so much healing and run into these old traumas and to these old hurts. And have to repair that. So I think we're actually living in an amazing time. If you look back at the dark ages that people have to went through, where this awareness was not even there, and we're living in a society which pushes us into the wrong direction, into hedonism and into your mind and into material world. And there is so many people like us who are reconnecting with this love, with this true nature within ourselves. And we're finding the way back home, so to speak. That's probably how I would phrase it now. We're finding out the way back home.
Yeah, and we really want to help other peoples as well. So we're both researching a lot, finding out a lot, not only for us, but for everybody. Like, oh, this herb, that herb, we detox together, we like fast together. Like, yeah, and it's like, that is so cool. Like, we do
that is nice.
like fasting for like for days, like doing things, that's kind of things also together. And it's much easier if you do that together. So we're like, we're learning so much from each other.
And you find the right person so you can do it. Now, perhaps you couldn't do that with your new relationships. They're like, I'm not fasting. I'm drinking Pepsi Cola and I'm going to fast. Like it doesn't. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
but this is good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, we're both very much on that path. Not only for us, but for everybody. So we also do a lot of research, and that's why we also like we want to help people. So that's why we all like we're out there as well, and that's why we also like want to help people with their relationships, or when you like want to find a relationship, or if in a relationship you have like clashes, helping to help in that way. Yeah, because we know how important that work is. Like it's really really interesting.
We've spoken to many people in relationship problems too. We kind of help them iron some things out. But what it truly comes down to is like whether or not you are meant to be with this person, because it doesn't matter how much counseling you get, you're speaking with somebody. If something's not meant to be, it's going to go take the course and go the way it's supposed to go. But we are pretty good at helping others. Even people that are in relationships, we find ourselves in lots when we're out, just in a lot of conversations with people. And we could just be sitting at the pool, and like this happens constantly. We're always speaking with somebody and exchanging information, helping people out. And they help us too, because we're learning and growing from what we're getting from other people. We're not just helping, we're also being helped as well.
Yeah, it works both ways, right? You kind of gravitate towards each other. That's always cool to recognize.
Yeah, and then it can be something really beautiful. Like,
but the things we do together, they're pretty nice. Like we do a lot of like-minded things together, and that's the best relationship. Like when one person's not interested in the other person's stuff, that's not good. But when you're together interested in the same thing, you have similar like goals and you have a similar mission, and it's like you can work together. You're like this ultimate team. We're like team awesome. It's cool. And like we're conquering this brutal world together. We're like not conquering, we're getting through. I think everybody's being conquered by the world, but we're doing our best that way right now. We form this team, and it's important. You find that when to get what suit and form the team, and you can also maneuver through this game system that we're in.
Yeah,
This
he's sometimes also like frustrated by this whole what's happening. Yeah,
I feel like I'm in prison. I'm figuring out and where I go. I feel like we're in prison. But that also is another podcast.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we're much alike on that. I've seen some of your posts. Yeah.
Are we living in heaven or are we living in a prison? That's a good one.
And is the mindset, or is it like it's physical as well? It's definitely physical.
It's both. Yeah.
Oh.
That's a good one.
Or is it collective? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes. It really goes. But together, when you find out like that one, if you can do it, it's
Bonnie and Clyde.
That's awesome. Yes.
That's why we called our YouTube also. We have a YouTube channel together and we call it Forever Awesome 888. So also about that.
Yeah,
cool.
That's something. It's Forever Awesome, but when you look it up, Forever Awesome 888 is what you punch in, because sometimes somebody has your same name you have. Like I have a few YouTube channels where like somebody has seen my name and liked it and they used it. But I think we got Forever Awesome probably later. But like at least we have the coolest logo and we have the coolest design, the coolest page.
He designs
everything is original from us.
So that's cool.
Logo designer.
He can draw and design. He can just like he has like he's very good in visual thing. I'm not. I don't see anything.
Digital designer.
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen some of the designs. They look cool to me.
Oh, thank you. It's fun for me. Fun stuff. I like this.
Yeah. So that's why we really we match very good together. Like design, he works with the video editor. So we like yeah. So that's like
you do a lot of videos. Oh,
he edits.
I'll show you some edits, some things. So not only will I be the editor, but like I'm also gonna make sure that I'm gonna show you some things where you're gonna be able to do everything. Like it's cool because we come together and we just learn constantly together. Multiple perspectives, not perspectives, but I think aspects. I don't know if you word correctly, of different talents that we may want to gain, rather than me knowing how to do one thing in particular, her knowing what to do one thing. I'll master something, she'll master something, and then she'll teach me what she learned, I'll teach her what I learned. And it's a really nice collaboration and growth together.
Yeah. Awesome.
So
I think that's a good one to end this on. Very positive. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. It's always a nice talk, but also very interesting. Like even like listening to each other. Like I mean, and
thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Well, thank you also. Thank you everybody for being here, and
thank y'all for having me here. This is my first time I've been here. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Amazing, thanks, man.
Yeah, and I hope you can soon also start with your own channel. Huh? We have our together channel, so you have like a Forever Awesome 888. People can find us together. And I have my own channel, and
my collecting source channel.
Yeah, he has also another channel that he will start at one point.
Well, I'm getting more confident at posting videos, and so my channel is kind of dry with videos right now, but now I'll start to increase because now I'm doing videos, but now they're going on our channel together. Maybe I'll start sharing those over, and then I'll just start doing some randomly that my own that I'll start posting as well. Yeah. So and I do videos, talks, interviews. Last week I do podcasts. I have like also a podcast with very interesting, like inspiring people, and I really love sharing that as well. I do energetic healings. I work with frequency devices. I do workshops and all sorts of things, and also yoga meditation. And like there's like a lot of things that I like, and wherever I can spread seeds of consciousness and love, I will do that. And you do.
Cool.
Yeah. But I feel like he was the first one who really sees me and really understands me where I come from. And that's really nice. Well, because when I met you, I met you on that level. Years ago, maybe I wouldn't have, because I wasn't ready to be who I am today. And when I developed and became who I am, it just aligned perfectly. Yeah. And then I see it just worked out the way it was supposed to. Yeah. So maybe
it's obvious. It's obvious looking at you too. Amazing.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So if you also want to say more to the people, what you do and where they can find you and stuff.
Oh, okay. I go by the name Hellbreaker. I'm on Neglect the Source. I'm on the channel as well, Forever Awesome. I do a little bit of video editing. I'm a digital designer, I design logos. I also do motivational speaking and also like will counsel or speak to somebody one-on-one with any, some problems or issues that we may be having. Also, not because like I think I have the advice, but I've also gone through some things in my life that might relate to something somebody has gone through. So I'm a good listener. So I really am good at talking with somebody and trying to help them figure out some issues they may be having, in turn, which may help me figure out some issues I'm having. So I do like a lot of one-on-one speaking. Like I said, digital designing, editing. I don't know. I do a lot of things. It depends on what I'm going into and what somebody's bringing to me. Whatever you bring to me, I try to find my best way to work through it, pretty much. And I'm very supportive. I support you constantly. Supports me all the time.
Yeah.
It's really fun. And like I said, you will have your times where you feel like the other's not supporting you. It's because, like I said, we were saying before, your traumas. But yeah, it's great though. It's really good. Deal with your challenges, push forward, growth and development, keep shining, be that greater version, or at least try to achieve it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you too. Thank you guys. Thank you for pretty cool.
And then Guillaume, maybe yourself.
Yeah, I'll be short again. Guillaume, philosopher, figuring out life, always open for conversations. I also do a lot of one-on-one, like he said. Like you can find me on Facebook. Janneke will probably put a link in the description.
Yeah, nice.
That's it for now.
Excellent.
So, thank you. Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, and
Thank
everybody for being here. And
I
hope, that you have a lot of things out of this, and for in your own relationships. And if you want to join us, you're very welcome. Send me a message, and you're very like your being and your wisdom and your knowledge and your perspectives are really welcome. And we all will learn from it, and the people that are watching learn from it as well. So
yeah.
So
Feel free to join. Everyone has something to add. Yes.
I had a great time.
Same here.
So
Cool.
thank you, everybody, and